Welcome, YouTube, to another episode of Clear Vision Wednesday. I'm super excited about today's topic because we're going to talk about something really fun that has nothing to do with eye exercises that can actually help you improve your vision. But before we do that, please subscribe to the channel, click the little bell icon. We're going live every single week here for Clear Vision Wednesday. If I haven't said that yet, I'm Claudia Mühlenweg. But without further ado, let me bring on my guest, Irena Castle. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
We
Thank
had
you
you
for
on,
having me.
we had you on before many times. You are a co-author of this wonderful book about vision improvement. You are the founder of Overbound Athletics. You have been inventing amazing vision improvement products that I've been using. I love that you build all these products. But today we talk about balls. We talk about balls, not the balls that you think about. And really quickly before we get to your balls. So I use myofascial therapy balls to release tension in the body, which is so connected to vision challenges, right? We're tight in the neck, the shoulders. But today we're not talking about these balls. We're talking about a different kind of ball. Tell us what we're talking about today, Irena.
Yeah, so today, thank you for having me. Today, we will be talking about juggling, therefore, juggling balls, right? And in the context of vision, of course, right? Clear Vision Wednesday, always about vision. Why do we want to talk about juggling balls? So, I actually have a background in sports vision development, working with athletes. And when I worked with athletes, we always used balls for the purpose of developing the vision, right? We always wanted to use the environment that they were accustomed to and leverage the tools that they were already using in order to develop their seeing during the game. And because that was always the most fun part of the training, I started using balls in the training of natural vision improvement. And it was first just to bring a little bit of excitement, different type of engagement, some laughter, some relaxation into the process. But then over time, some of my students were actually absolutely loving it, right? They were asking for more and more techniques that they could train with the balls. And so over time, I made it a pretty integral part of the way I teach natural vision improvement, using the balls in all sorts of different functions, including juggling. And then one day we were talking about routines, right? And as you know, Claudia, like the number one reason why people do not achieve better vision is that they don't practice, right? They just don't find the time for whatever reason. Sometimes eye exercises are a little boring and they just kind of get discouraged. And I realized that when I bring juggling into their routine, when I use juggling to help them establish a regular vision training routine, they can do it and they teach themselves to come every day and practice vision, right? So we're combining very different benefits of using the ball, benefits of juggling for various purposes, all serving better eyesight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. And before we even get into this, my story kind of revolved about around balls in a way too, because I was farsighted, I had a convergent squint. I was like the worst at throwing and catching. I'm not even talking about juggling. I'm just talking about catching one ball. And I remember as a teenager, I got drafted to the handball team, not because I was great, because I was 12 years old. They didn't have enough kids where I lived. Literally, like they would have taken a blind person a girl. And so, but I couldn't wear my glasses, and that throwing and catching, and like you said, not even juggling, but just throwing and catching the ball was already helping me so much improve my vision. And we're going to talk about the core five benefits of using balls and particularly juggling, but even throwing and catching, which I do in my trainings. We do like one ball at a time or beanbag toss or those kind of things. But I love the juggling because it might not be as much fun, but both you and I, we don't teach eye exercises. We really teach more like vision games are a way to have joyful thing because vision is all about joyful things. It's not about exercising. So tell us,
Exactly.
maybe go into like So what are the specific like benefits for vision improvement when it comes to juggling?
Sure, sure. Yeah, and just like you said, right? Like, yes, we're talking about juggling. We're talking about ideally moving at least three balls consistently. But it's not always the main goal, right? Just throwing the ball and following the ball with your eyes, using the stimuli that the ball presents to your vision is sometimes plenty to get the benefits that you're actually looking for, right? So the first huge benefit that juggling brings, that following a moving ball brings for your eyesight is smooth pursuit development, right? Smooth pursuit is one of the natural movements that the eyes actually do. And smooth pursuit helps us to track moving objects. And tracking moving objects, you can imagine, is really important because of the need to know how quickly objects are moving. So, smooth pursuit tracking combined with the ability of judging distance of objects gives us the ability to actually know how far different objects are, how quickly they are moving towards us, right? And here we go into safety elements, the need for knowing how quickly a car is coming towards us when we want to cross the street, when we want to change lanes. And so that's a huge, huge benefit,
And I
right?
love that because it's like actually Deborah Zelinsky from the Mind Eye Institute talked about how our standard vision test, which also just tests visual acuity, by the way, which is how sharp you see, what we
Mhm.
call eyesight is how sharp you see. But when we're thinking, we are sitting still, the object is sitting still. When we think about our real life things that we're doing, you just mentioned driving, but hiking, walking, biking, all the things that we do all day, there's so much movement, and we have to like beyond just focusing on one thing, all these other like you said, smooth pursuit movements, one of the four kinds of eye movements. So basically, juggling is one way to improve your smooth pursuit eye movements. What are other things that you can use? Like think about smooth pursuit. Where else is that important? For instance, do you have any other examples? So people get more of an idea, like what does that even mean? Where do I need smooth pursuit movements?
Yeah, like I said, I think the most important thing is the ability to judge speed, right? So the smooth pursuit is the ability of the eye to constantly track an object that is moving. But I think the life benefit in it is the ability to really understand how quickly an object is moving towards us or away from us. And so it's a safety, life safety skill that we have. Right. So I think that's probably the most important one.
That makes sense. As you were talking, I just thought my younger daughter loves watching, and her fiance, they love watching birds. And especially when you're with the binocular, but even without the binocular, I'm thinking of animals because they move like quickly and randomly, and you kind of want to wait, where did it go? So like
Mhm.
tracking a flying bird, or like obviously that's not a safety issue so much, but yeah, we need these smooth pursuit movements pretty much all day. We don't really think about it that much in terms of vision. So okay, what's the second one?
All right, so the next big benefit is that when you juggle, when you follow the ball with the eyes, the ball is constantly changing its position, it's changing the distance. And so throughout juggling, throughout any sort of ball play, you are learning or you're developing your skills of accommodation. You are learning how to adjust your focus at various distances, sometimes very near, sometimes further away, right? So to make a reference to the students of natural vision improvement, it's a little bit like tromboning, perhaps, right? But performed in a very different way and performed in a perhaps higher speed because you constantly are looking further away, closer in different places. And so, accommodation that leads to clarity of vision at all sorts of distances is another huge benefit, another skill that you can train with juggling balls.
Yeah, and tromboning, I know optometrists call it the pencil push-ups, it's like you just to me, that was always one of the most boring exercises. Not that it's not valuable, but I don't know about you, but I get bored with these things super quickly. So I want something that's more fun and also more applicable because in real life, we're not really, doing just this, but we have to throw, we might have to catch things, we might have to duck under something. So to me, like all these skills are much more useful in daily life, what is like a pencil push-up is, for instance. So, all right,
Yeah, and during juggling also, like when you actually throw the ball, the trajectory is not necessarily just straight away from you and
right.
close, right? That's not how our eyes are working. Our eyes are being attracted by something and they follow that object or whatever has happened, the signal. And so when you throw a ball, it doesn't have this straight trajectory. It has a curved trajectory, which is much smoother for the eyes, easier for the eyes to follow than a strict straight line, into the distance and back close in. And we're also going up and down, diagonal, all sorts of different directions. And in addition to the fun, it actually helps the eyes to develop this skill while adjusting to the various situations.
Yeah, I love that so much. And at the end of the day, what you said is so important. We see in the brain and we are attracted by things, and that's where our gaze goes. We're never like doing these kind of like, let's just go, unless we're following something in the sky, like we talked about the smooth pursuit. But a lot of times we're just like our vision is literally bouncing around and it's also often attracted by moving things. So, all right, that was the first. So we had smooth pursuit. We had that idea of accommodation, like being able to focus on different things in different spaces. What's the third benefit?
Number three, my absolute favorite, peripheral vision, friends. So, if you have ever heard me talk, you know that I am very passionate about peripheral vision because peripheral vision composes the majority of our visual field. And peripheral vision is really important for our general safety, right? For having an understanding of where we are in the space, right? Spatial awareness. It's important for prevention of falls. It's really important in driving, right? If you want to change a lane, you want to make sure that you realize that there is a car coming to your right or to your left in the lane that you want to change into. You want to be aware of somebody approaching you from the side or almost from the back. So lots of reasons for that. Of course, peripheral vision is where the majority of the visual receptors that are called visual rods live, right? They're located in that part of the retina, and the visual rods are helping us see movement and they help us see in the dark. So, night vision, night driving, all of that is covered by peripheral vision. And then finally, peripheral vision provides context for central vision. So, like Claudia just said, we all want to see clearly, right? When we go to see a doctor, they measure the clarity of our seeing at different distances. But without peripheral vision that is capable of providing great context to the central vision really cannot function. Right. So lots of great benefits. Obviously, for people who suffer from real diseases like glaucoma, for example, right, or retinitis pigmentosa. Those are kind of really tough situations when the peripheral vision truly suffers and you get yourself into a tunnel-like vision type of life, right, or situation. And so development of peripheral vision, even for people with these diseases, is quite helpful because it energizes all those visual receptors that are present in the eye, and it can help relieve some of the symptoms of these diseases. Okay, so peripheral vision is something that you have to use while you juggle, right? You are not capable of constantly tracking every single ball, especially if you're juggling more than two, right? Or even more than one. And so you have to use your spatial vision, the sides of your eyes, to develop this capability of seeing peripherally.
I think that's so important. Thank you for pointing that out. And that helped me when I started playing ball, getting better. So I have a pair of glasses I bought on Amazon. These are like a -6, and I use them for my content creation. But the problem is too, when you put these glasses on, it's like it almost like creates like, especially anybody that wears glasses, there's this kind of like you basically ignore your periphery. You have this fishbowl effect of just looking at what's in front of you. And so I think our peripheral vision nowadays with computers, people literally develop this tunnel vision, even if you don't have glaucoma or retinitis pigmentosa, in which cases you also want to keep your peripheral vision as open. But also from the top and the bottom, I'm just thinking as you're juggling, right, the peripheral field, humans, we are mostly, the horizontal one is probably the most important, and also the lower one in terms of like not tripping over rocks or not seeing the snake or whatever. But from the top, we usually kind of don't really have much awareness. And I give you one story. So this is a fellow vision teacher. She had that regular pressure glaucoma, was never really caught, and she lost all her top peripheral vision down to here, but didn't notice it. That's why it's called the silent vision killer. So even if you are just diagnosed with glaucoma, right, I would say don't like basically do things to keep your peripheral vision in top shape, right? That would make sense to me because with juggling, you have that top periphery too. You don't have to just have the sides and the
Mm-hmm.
lower one, right? So,
Yeah,
all
you're basically developing all of it, right? It is important because you're moving your hands everywhere, right? We're not supposed to juggle here. We're
yeah,
supposed to juggle by our waist. Doesn't mean that it's very easy. Doesn't mean that I know exactly how to do it very well either. But that's what you do, and you're constantly moving, and you're creating movement not just with the balls, but with your hands, with the rest of your body. You move your feet, right? There's so much movement that you can be aware of that it is absolutely easy and it is very thrilling to be developing peripheral vision this way because you don't actually realize that you're doing it. It just kind of happens. So,
I love that so much. And again, I think peripheral vision, like it's not just important for safety, but also giving us that proprioceptive thing, like where are we in space, not
mhm,
tripping over things. And like I see that a lot, that the peripheral vision is so underdeveloped. People on computers tend to have tunnel vision too. Okay.
absolutely.
So what's the fourth benefit?
All right, so the next one, and I think that's going to interest a lot of people, it is in a way a method of preventing astigmatism. Why is that? That is because while you juggle, especially in the early stages, when you learn how to juggle and you go through the initial steps of learning how to juggle, you follow the ball with your eyes, and then you can train your head to follow the eyes, right? And so you're learning the proper coordination between the eyes and the head. This is important because the eyes actually like to look at things straight on. They don't like to be looking sideways to one way or the other or up or diagonal, right? And we are very much guilty of that, especially if we work on computers and we have multiple screens. We tend to not lift our head. We tend to just look at one screen and come back and then look at, our papers, come back. Or if you're a student in school, right, you're taking your notes, even though these days they do it mostly on computers, but still, you may be taking your notes and then you just lift your eyes to look at the blackboard or whiteboard, right? And when you keep repeating these movements without moving the head, that is what develops astigmatism. So, juggling is excellent for this. Again, the balls catch the interest of the eyes are interested, the head follows, and you do that in so many different directions. You're training the eyes to move, you're training your head to move, and all of that kind of leads to the prevention of astigmatism. And if you already have it, it can help you release it as well.
That is so important. Most people don't know that about astigmatism and the posture, how that is related, how we move our. So we basically practice initially at least to move the head with the balls, and then later on it will probably be more peripheral vision. Again, I don't know how to do it. I want to learn from you for sure. So what's the fifth benefit?
All right, so the last one we want to mention today is the coordination between the left eye and the right eye, right? We have two eyes so that we can see binocularly, and we need to transfer the signals, or the signals from both eyes have to be transferred to the brain so that the brain can give us a clear image of what we're looking at. Now, in natural vision improvement, we use various techniques to kind of entice the eyes to start working together so that they are both well developed. And in juggling, we can engage them in passing the visual signals from one to the other, or rather by passing the responsibility of seeing from one to the other. So to give you an example, right, as we pass the ball over the head, as the ball goes from left to right, the eyes the eye that sees the ball better is the left eye first, the right eye later, right? And then it constantly changes during juggling. And that is when the eyes learn how to kind of cooperate together, how to make sure that they are both doing the level of work, the level of seeing that is required so that you can have good binocular vision, which is the basis for good 3D vision, right? So huge benefit there. As you can see, it kind of juggling just goes into all sorts of various visual skills that we need to use in order to see well in daily life. And yeah, so this one is really powerful, I think.
Yeah, and especially if you're any ball sport, if you play like what is it, pedal? What is it called now? The tennis thingy, tennis or
Um,
squash or racquetball or whatever.
Paddleball, maybe
Paddleball.
pickleball,
I'm like,
pickleball.
yeah. But all these things, volleyball, like basketball, handball, like soccer, whatever. All the ball sports, you want to really be good at that. But beyond that, but I can think of a sixth benefit, and that is just it looks really cool when you can do it.
Yeah, yeah, you can absolutely show off. That is for sure. Like if you stand somewhere and you start, juggling, it is a great conversation
You're like,
starter for
oh,
sure.
cool. You gather some points. So I want to learn juggling from like how do I learn how to juggle, Irina?
Okay, so I actually do have an event that's launching just this coming Monday on August 11th, and it is a free event, and it's called Juggling for Better Vision. Okay, and in this event, we're going to focus on three things. Of course, everybody wants to know how to juggle three balls, so that's going to be our objective number one. Our objective number two is to learn how to leverage the juggling moves for the benefit of the eyes. So, what kind of techniques can we incorporate into juggling so that we can improve our vision and so that we can gain at least those five benefits that we were talking about today? Okay. And number three objective is to help you establish a consistent training routine. Okay. The past participants, I ran this event before, and over 80% of the past participants at the end said, yes, we were able to establish a vision, and now I train every single day and therefore I am seeing progress, right? So we have those three objectives. We are starting on August 11th, and then we will be together through 8 sessions of juggling, of learning the skills. I will be walking you through all the steps from the very start to the very end. So at the end, you will know how to juggle three balls. I cannot guarantee that you will actually be able to do it, but I can guarantee that you will know the steps to getting there.
Well, that's like
Okay?
any teacher, right? We teach, but people have to implement and do the things. So, okay, so obviously I know you have really cool juggling balls, and we will put the link in the show notes if anybody wants to get your juggling balls. But if you have other juggling balls, I'm assuming yours are really for vision, they're really stimulating to the brain, the two colors. But if somebody has other juggling balls already, like would that be okay to use?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. People can join and they can use any juggling balls. I usually don't recommend using tennis balls. And the reason for it is that tennis balls are relatively large and they're hard, right? And if you lose the tennis ball, if it falls, it's going to roll away. And you don't want that. In vision training, in juggling training, you want the ball to stay with you, right? So that when you catch it, it kind of melts into the palm of your hand. It doesn't bounce, it kind of stays with you. It makes it much, much, much easier because instead of running after your balls and trying to find them, you can spend your time juggling, you can spend your time working on your vision. And that is obviously much more effective. But you can use any juggling balls you want. If you want to join the event and you don't have any, of course, we do have some that we offer.
Okay, great. That's awesome. So yeah, I just my little massage ball, it's similar, but that would also bounce away, and it's really hard,
Hmm.
much harder to catch that than anyway. So yeah, I love your balls. I think they're fantastic. They're really nice in your hand. But if you have any other balls, so a couple other questions. So like let's say because I would assume that you do want it without the glasses. Like can people participate if they have specific vision problem? Like who like is there any kind of thing that they have to consider before signing up?
Yeah, I would say no. Everybody is welcome. There is no requirement of any special visual skills, and there is also no requirement of knowing how to juggle, right?
Okay.
I am teaching this, but I will be very open with everybody. I am not very talented with ball hand coordination. And so, even though I have been practicing this for a very long time and developing my vision, developing my clients' visions, my students' vision, I am not the best juggler. So, I can guarantee that I can teach you how to do it. I will demonstrate to the best of my abilities, right? But like my personal best was juggling about 40 balls, but my average is somewhere
Funny
between 10 and
balls.
15, right? Um, so I am definitely not the best, and there is no requirement. If you end up going through the event, again, the event is free, right? So you're not losing anything. You can only gain these great benefits. If you end up sitting and if you end up working with one ball only, because that is what your physical abilities allow you to do, or your environment, or whatever other reasons, you will still benefit, you will still have fun. If you can learn to juggle two balls or even three balls, then you will have more fun. But it is not the requirement, and it is also not the primary benefit why we actually run the event.
I mean, you say 40 balls?
Yeah, that was my
That's like,
maximum.
how are you
Yeah,
saying
but
you
like I
want to
said,
convert
my
them? That's
my
a lot.
my average is probably more like around the 10.
I mean, are you talk like, sorry, that sounds like a Cirque du Soleil act to me to juggle 10 balls. But anyway, don't sell
No, no,
yourself.
no, but hold on, like not juggle 10 balls, like I'm juggling three balls 10 times.
Oh, I
That's
see. I
what
was
I'm
like, wow,
talking
that's
about.
okay. Well, anyway, I feel like when I was teaching yoga, I was always the stiff one. In a way, it was also more relatable and I could modify. I was thinking about giving modification in a way that was much more applicable for students, like versus somebody who can do all these things is super bendable. And so I feel
Yeah.
like it's actually sometimes helpful if your teacher, like you can relate more to what the students struggle with. Okay. So what about glasses? Is it okay to wear glasses or is it something you recommend doing without glasses or?
Yes. Yeah. So we will definitely be asking everybody to remove the glasses, right?
What if you're like a -10?
Safety is important, but we will be practicing without glasses.
Okay, so even if somebody's a -10 diopter nearsighted, because that's the nice thing about your balls, they're really bright, so you can't, yeah, even if they're,
Yeah, we will absolutely do everything without the glasses. As you know, if you don't remove the glasses, you cannot learn how to see without them.
yeah.
And we will be working in a very safe environment. So it is up to everybody who participates, but the recommendation is to take them off and just be fine with what you see and be fine with having fun in the space that you are aware of.
So what about somebody who only has vision in one eye? Like obviously there's no binocular vision, but that would still be beneficial, I would assume, right?
Yes, because you will gain all of these benefits. Well, you cannot get binocular vision, right? So 3D vision development to at that level is slightly limited, but everything else you can still develop acuity. You can work on your peripheral vision. You can work on the smooth pursuit, right? The tracking, all of these different skills you can still develop. And we know that even 3D vision, of course, 3D vision is so much better with two eyes. but there is an ability in the eye, in the brain to understand depth to a certain degree, even with one eye. So, yes, anybody can participate, and then you go through the event to the best of your abilities. There is no judgment. You can start and end wherever you want to. And hopefully, just like many others, you would see the benefits of for in your vision, and you would absolutely see the benefits in being able to create a routine that you can then repeat every day with ease, with joy, versus feeling like you're dragging your feet and you're making yourself take care of your eyes.
So the two devil's advocate questions that I always get, like, how much time do I need to devote each day, and is it recorded?
Oh, yeah, very good. So, this particular event has two sets of sessions. Some of the sessions are live, and the live sessions obviously are recorded. And the skills sessions have actually been pre-recorded for you. So, you will get a link with the pre-recorded session. You will know how to practice. In each session, you will practice juggling, you will practice vision, and you will get a tip about what to do about your routine, right?
Oh,
And
great.
so you will get that. The sessions are very short, minus the kickoff call that will have more information. Everything else is somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes. And we will start building a routine that is very, very short. You will be encouraged to begin perhaps with 1 minute only, and I will give you tips about how to build on that, right? So it's really up to you. If you decide that you can only juggle for 1 minute, then so be it. Ideally, my goal is to bring you to something like 10 to 15 minutes towards the end, but the beginning can be very short, and then you do what you can do.
That sounds good. Yeah, I like when things are pre-recorded because then you can watch it on your own time. And then the live trainings will also be recorded. Okay. Sounds like it's very doable, right? And it's up to you how much you participate. So we put the link in the show notes. I put it in the live chat. I don't see any new questions on YouTube. That was about the recordings, the time. So, well, thank you so much, Irina. We love that you were coming on, and we have our little private backstage access with my Clear Vision Club people where we can ask you a few more questions that is not live streamed. So thank you, YouTube, for being here, and please share this channel with anybody who wants to learn about vision improvement. Irina's training is completely free. You literally have nothing to lose. I always say about your glasses and improve your vision. I will put it also in the chat one more time. So it's an easy link. Let me see, put it in the chat, and you can use your own juggling balls. I love your balls, so if I'm going to also put the link in the chat if you want to get Irina's. Oh, one last question I actually have. One thing I love is your product that I'm recommending to the people in my programs, your eyesight clarity trainer, where you can cover one eye at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
This one?
It's like this one. Sorry, I
This
don't
one?
have. Yeah, there you go. So I have one to, but where you can basically occlude one eye. Is that something that would be useful for people or no for the juggling?
Yes, yes. So we will absolutely be using occlusion because occlusion is part of natural vision improvement, right? But if you do not have the clarity eyesight trainer that does have the ideal shields, right? The ideal types of occlusion for the development of the many visual skills, you can use post-its. So if you don't have the occluder, you can use post-its. It is easier, especially since, when we move, to have something that stays on your face very easily, that doesn't, go anywhere and stays consistent. But for this particular class, especially if you're new to natural vision improvement and you don't have all the tools, you will be fine using the post-its. So anybody who registers for the class, it is free, but you do need to register so that we know that you're trying to or you want to opt in. Then you will be directed to a page that gives you information about, what you will need for the class. But in short, it's really juggling balls, post-its, or the Clarity Eyesight Trainer if you have it, right? Because we will be developing both the peripheral vision, we will be using central occlusion, occluding one eye, the other eye, and other ways. So yeah, but
Okay.
everything is there. It's pretty low key. I think if you decide to come, You will have a lot of fun. And to many of my students, I say invite your family, invite your friends,
Yes, yes.
because you can create almost like a little culture or something else that you can do with each other that is either in person or virtual, depending on how far you are from each other. But I have had people say that after the event, they actually were getting together with their friends more often because they enjoyed doing this activity together.
And it will probably help you with other games like ball games, like hitting, targeting. You can play that with your elderly parents or your kids. You can even play this throw and catch game. So there's so
Yes,
much joy. So I love this so much that you're doing this. So thank you so much for being here. And guys, sign up, please. It doesn't cost you a thing. If you don't have juggling balls, get hers or get other juggling balls because you don't want to do it with bouncy balls because then your frustration level, I know myself, I'll be like, oh, screw this. That's too complicated. So we want to have the right tools for the juggling. And like you said, you can use Post-its or other things to block an eye if you need to. You don't have to get other
yes,
if you don't have it. So thank you
yes.
so much. That was amazing. And make sure to follow. So where else can people find you? I guess the website that we posted is the best place, right? Overbound
I
site.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the best place. Overboundeyesight.com is where you would go for this particular event, overboundeyesight.com/juggle, so that you get right to the page that gives you the final details of when all of the things are happening. And you can also register right there.
Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you sharing all this. And everybody else, I see you next week. And let's go to our Clear Vision Club private little conversation.